Ruhani, who wanted to be here tonight also, but who also is unable to be here. This is a very eminent gentleman who is the leader of the Shiite Muslims throughout Europe. And he was very anxious to come here also today to talk to you about the connections that he has seen as a Muslim leader between Sahaja Yoga and Islam. So if I may, I'll read this to you. The gentleman has written it in French, and I've only just recently seen this, so there's a quick translation here, and I'll read it in English, of course. So this is addressed to Shri Mataji and to us all here. And he says, if we consider the most ancient evidence which has been left by Homo sapiens, we can see that man has always been aware of the existence of a supreme being, who is Lord and creator of all things and of all living creatures. Using every conceivable means, human beings of every era have always tried to express their feelings of deep respect towards God and to perform what is due to their creator. And this is why Islam has always stressed the possibility of direct communication with God. And even those who have fallen into idolatry have never denied the existence of the Creator, but have simply put their idols and their images in the place of God. And this is still happening in our day, he says. And this being the case, how can we possibly recognize a true and a real prophet, and what is his or her mission? And then he says, the mission of prophets is to reveal the will of God. That is, to provide a logical and tangible, concrete explanation of religion as we live it in our daily lives. He says, genuine monotheism, that is the belief in the Supreme Being, signifies the unshakable oneness of the whole creation, that is, the indissoluble union of man and God. Monotheism thus shows the pointlessness of idols or any images that come between man and God. And the mission of the prophets is thus to set humanity upon the right track. And in order to do this, the prophets have two parallel and complementary paths. First, the way of learning, which is based on theology and philosophy. And secondly, the way of self-knowledge and of self-realization. And that is why in our sacred text, the Quran, we find both the approach of philosophical, scholastic discourse, as well as indications that open the way for us to the knowledge of the highest self. The prophet says to us, you cannot know God unless you first know the highest self. You cannot know God unless you first know the highest self. And the concrete means of putting this theory into practice is what is offered to us in this age by Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. And to back up this truth, if you will allow me, I will quote to you the words of the Prophet Muhammad, who says, God is closer to man than our own veins. And then the Prophet says, with the knowledge of the Spirit, man will begin to know himself in order to finally achieve knowledge of God. And then with the purification of his inner being, man becomes conscious that he is the Spirit. And it is thus that both the experience of spontaneous self-realization, which is revealed by Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi, and Sahaja Yoga, which is the practice which flows from that experience, both of these are in perfect concordance with Islam. This is a very important thing that he has said, that what Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi is teaching is in complete and perfect concordance with Islam. It is the advent of this message which has prompted me to want to be here tonight. So in a similar vein, I would like just to finish my talk by referring to the present conditions of women in Islam. As you know, the position of woman as mother is glorified in the Islamic tradition. The Prophet Muhammad went as far as saying, "Paradise is found at our mother's feet." And as a wife, Islam not only acknowledges her complete right to choose her own husband, but also pays homage to her, as in the celebrated words of the Prophet, who says, "The best amongst us is that man who behaves best towards his wife." Or again he says, "Women have been sent to us by God, and men are responsible for keeping them safe." Women are therefore considered equal to men, both in their responsibilities and in their legal and civic rights. Today, unfortunately, we have seen that this great insight of the Quran is still not understood, and that therefore it's not respected in many different Muslim countries. But you, Shri Mataji, by virtue of your courage and your sincerity and your purity, by virtue of your untiring travels through the 5 continents, today you are justly considered as the very messenger of peace in this world. Your exemplary life makes you the perfect symbol and the perfect model for all Islamic women. May their quest for justice and their desire to be able to enjoy a deep spiritual life in their own dignity, may that quest find an echo in our spiritual approach of the true Islam. And this will enable us to put a final end to all kinds of injustices which are committed against women in the name of religion. And it is through this vision, and with the aim of defending the rights of women in Muslim countries throughout the world, particularly in Afghanistan, in Iran, in Turkey, that this brief talk is addressed to you, Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi, and to all the people who are assembled here in the Albert Hall. Signed, Mehdi Ruhani.